Throughout the history of warfare, secure communication has been crucial to winning battles and wars. And during the late 19th century, technology was booming, and with this boom came the invention of the radio and telegraph. Now, the year is 1918, and World War I is in its final days. The US is pushing into the Argonne Force with everything it has. Aiding with the coordination is something new to the battlefield: code talkers. 8 Choctaw men are trained to use their native language to relay and dispatch orders to troops. Now, what is a code talker? To put it simply, a code talker is someone that uses a language that's obscure or unknown to their enemy on a battlefield. Some examples of languages being used for code talking are the previously mentioned Choctaw, but also Basque, Hungarian, and several Native American languages. The one we'll be focusing on today, though, is Navajo. The Navajo tribe are a tribe based in the western US. As far as their recent history goes, they fought the Spanish in the 1600s, then the Mexicans in the early 1800s, before finally being subjugated by the United States in 1864 and moved on to a reservation. Now, life was tough for the average Navajo, as their language and culture were being eroded away, and life on a reservation, well, it wasn't exactly the best. But then the world decided that 20 million deaths in the Great War, that just wasn't enough. So in 1939, 20 years after World War I had ended, Evil Mustache Man number 1 teams up with Evil Mustache Man number 2 with the goal to destroy Poland once and for all. He then teams up with Benito Pastellini and an Evil Mustache Man number 3, forming the the Axis powers, with the astute goal of, taking over the world. Now back to America. During this time of turmoil, America has gotten out of its big sad period, and America's been doing American things, like selling weapons to the Allies, but still officially being neutral in the conflict. And they stay that way, at least until one fateful day that would change the course of the war. Japanese planes had taken off from the IJN Soryu, Hiryu, Shokaku, Zuikaku, Kaga, and Akagi. Their mission: destroy the American fleet stationed at Pearl Harbor. As the planes reach the port, Captain Mitsuo Fushida speaks over the radio, "Tora, Tora, Tora," letting the Japanese fleet know that they've achieved total surprise on the Americans. Almost 2,500 Americans would die in the attack on Pearl Harbor, and one day later, on December 8th, Congress would declare war on the Empire of Japan, and thus America was thrusted into a Second World War. It's September 1942, and America has sailed the ocean blue. And a bit has happened since the US's involvement in the war. Mainly, the US has put a sizable dent in the Imperial Japanese Navy. Hey, what's up guys? Arisaka97 here aboard the IJ and Akagi here at Midway. And in recent months, a man by the name of Philip Johnston had put together a plan to use the Navajo language as a code in the war. For you see, the US had been struggling to find a solid enough code the Japanese couldn't break, because the Japanese were just too cracked at cracking US communications. Sir, we've deciphered another Japanese message. It reads, "Skill issue, sir." Johnston, using his megamind, argued that Navajo would be the best language as it had no written form, and therefore could only be translated orally. And so the Marine said, "Oh yeah, sure, sounds good to me," and the project was underway. The project was launched in September of 1942, and 29 Marine recruits of Navajo descent began undergoing the training to make a cipher out of their language. Together they created a 211-word dictionary that later increased by a further 200 words. Once a code talker would finish their training, they were deployed to the Pacific Theater to aid against the Japanese. The Navajo's job was to transport important information like tactics, troop movements, and important data on the battlefield. Many military officials had questioned the efficiency of this new tactic. However, with the speed at which messages were being transmitted, even the most stubborn officers had to applaud their Navajo brothers. The Navajo received praise from their fellow Marines, and they were known for their bravery during battle, often being behind enemy lines. Famously, when talking about the Code Talkers, Major Howard Connor said, "Were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would have never have taken Iwo Jima." By the end of the operation, 400 Code Talkers had been recruited into the Marines. Their code was never once broken during the war by the Japanese, and this was largely due to the fact that talkers almost never wrote down or recorded any information that they were given, and simply relayed it all orally. The Navajo Code Talker project was kept classified by the government after the war, as tensions with the Soviet Union were rising, and they thought that it could be of use if a war were to ever break out between the two powers. Their code was kept secret for 25 years, and even though the Navajo weren't needed in later years, they still played a crucial role in defeating the Japanese in the Pacific, and in 1982, they were officially recognized by President Ronald Reagan. Hey, what's up guys? Ronald Reagan here. I just wanted to acknowledge these people's existence, and to thank you for your time. So thank you. Now if you excuse me, I have some weapons I need to sell, so that way I can afford a red super chat to donate to my favorite VTuber. Thank you once again. Reagan out.